aspect of this whole situation. We'll start off with the domestic policy, where everything is going to begin. The first thing that I'm concerned about is the internet. We need an internet bill of rights. I mean, I don't know if anybody's noticed, you've seen it on the news, you've seen it on social media. Our children, other adults are actually killing themselves over some of the harassment and disrespect and abuse that they're getting. I see popular, famous people that get harassed nonstop. They can't do anything about it. They can't prosecute the abuser. People are putting out people's information and threatening their children and just flat out bullying them to a certain extent. And people getting robbed and people getting scammed, email scams and so forth and so on. And since it's state to state, and there's always state laws, it's very complicated to prosecute somebody or hold somebody accountable for what they do across those state lines. So I think we really need an internet bill of rights so we have some standards to how you act on the internet. The internet is supposed to be free. It is freedom of speech. Do what you want. Say what you want. But you have to be responsible and accountable for what you say after that is done. And that's perfectly fine, and that's why we need an internet bill of rights. Next up is the big one. We all love it. We all want it. We all need it. Single-payer health care. You've heard this a million times from Bernie Sanders. You notice some of the other Democrats and stuff have picked it up. I don't think so many Republicans have picked it up, when in actuality, Obamacare was a Mitt Romney plan. So it's not too far from what they believe, but I don't know why they give you such a hard time. Single-payer health care is what we want. Single-payer health care is what we need. You know all the elements. You've heard all about it. You know everything about it. There's no need to discuss the idiosyncrasies of that particular situation. So, healthcare. Single-payer healthcare. Now, one of the couple of elements I want to add to this situation is, yes, you want single-payer healthcare, but what do we have? We have Americans that have done very well. They got a lot going for them. They've done very great, and everything's looking really good. And they've maybe been very successful in America, and they have a little extra money around. Now, I want to have an independent option. So Americans who have worked hard and they got extra money to play with, shall we say, and they want to spend it on more intense or higher level health care, definitely. We should have an independent option where not only can you have single-payer health care, which you can go to any doctor you want, get any service you want, but maybe there's some gold star treatment, so we want to have an independent option for those people so they can then go ahead and have that available. Now, one of the big things I want to add to the single-payer healthcare coverage is something that I noticed recently. I don't know if you guys have noticed. A lot of our wonderful young American ladies are working hard. They're building careers. They're getting education. And they're out there putting in a lot of work to help build America. Just like, you know, the men of old done. And since women's lib has come along, now the women are helping to build America. They're giving their lives for these companies. They're giving their lives for America also, beyond just being a lady, you know, and being a mother and things of that nature. So, to accommodate women who are working hard and they put their heart and soul into the industry for America so our stock market can rise, so we can be productive as American, I want to add freezing eggs to my healthcare policy. That's right. I want women to be able, under single-payer healthcare, at no cost, to be able to freeze their eggs. So as they do go out there and work and build these great companies and hire people and do all these great things in America, they can still have an opportunity down the road to have children if they decide to do so later in life. And I think it'll take a lot of stress, a lot of pressure off our wonderful American women, and that's definitely something we want to add to our single-payer health care. So that's that. Next thing I want to talk about is wages. Now, the wage situation, we know we're always arguing about it. We're always talking about it. $15 an hour, that's what people want. That's what people need. That's what people deserve. And that's something I will also push for, is the $15 an hour situation. Now, people say, oh, well, you raise minimum wage, they're going to make all the prices go up. What you don't realize is the people that raise those prices, they get great raises every year. They don't get the same 2-3% that the average American like me and you gets. They get 5%. They get 10%. They get bonuses. They have healthy wages, where my decision will be to actually cut down on things like CEO pay, cap CEO pay to a certain amount. You don't need to make $50, $100 million as a CEO. There's nothing you're doing that's important at a company. $5 million is enough. So one of those things I want to do to help with that situation is get the wages up, cap CEO and other level pays and have it on a scale, and also increase lower level salaries to bring everybody more to a balance to close the economic wage gap that you see in America today. And that's something we really got to fix. Now I have a small fact for you about minimum wage. Now, previous to the 70s, wages rose equally with economic prosperity in America. Our productivity and wages were simultaneous. Right around the 70s, they split. And ever since then, our productivity has continued as our wages have stagnated. We're pretty much making 1985 money on the lower levels of America, while higher level people are making almost futuristic money. And that's something I want you to be aware of, and I think it's perfectly fine for them to be rich, it's perfectly fine for them to be successful, but I think there's a certain amount of excess when it becomes endless money. And we could use some of that endless money for the rest of the people that are here living today. And because there's no reason that 80% of America should be check to check. We are almost all 2 to 4 weeks away from being on the street if we lose a job. So that's a big concern. Our country should not be like, we're almost under an economic slavery of sorts. When you figure that out, because you almost have to have no reason to, you can't leave a job if you don't have good health care because you got health care from your job. So now you can't get a better job because you can't leave for the health care. We have to fix these things, and that's what I want to change with wage enhancement, changing with added health care, and we also got some other great adjustments. Now money, talking about money, we talk about cap and CEO pay, things like that. My tax plan. Now, my tax rate plan is going to be scaled up because I want to go back to the previous tax rates, previous to the Ronald Reagan, Jerry Ford era, where the taxes used to be way higher. We're not going to go back to the Woodrow Wilson era of 90s and 95%. It would be beautiful, but I think people will lose their mind. I think that's a little too much. So, my scale is from $0 to $100,000. It's going to be a 25% amount coverage for that. For $100,000 to $500,000, it's a 35% scale. For $500,000 to $1 million, it's only a 37% scale. From $1 million to $5 million is going to be a 40% scale. From $5 million to $10 million, it goes to a 65% scale. From $10 million to $100 million, 75% scale. And that's how we're going to do it and continue on from there. So that's the scale. That's how we're going to work it out for our America. Very exciting, right? It'll put money back into America. And I'll explain how that's going to affect other plans that I have. Where are we going to get the money? So it's not going to be just from tax raises. It's not going to be just from cutting CEO pay. There's going to be some other things I mentioned later. They're going to help bring more money into America to do a big project that I'm working on. So, next on the list for me is drug reform. It's a big problem. We have the heroin issue going on right now, the opium issue right now that's going on. People are dying all over the place. And I really think we need to decriminalize drug use. Drug sales is an issue, but I think we need to decriminalize. I think we need to take control of it. I think we need to get some health centers up and get this issue completely under control, because all making everything super illegal does is help the cartels. It helps the drug dealers. We have to take the market from them and get control of it. We can make it be done safely. Just like some states have medical marijuana and legalized marijuana and the state is running it, we need to do that with a lot of other drugs. Now, I don't want every drug in the world to be made legal. Not going to happen. Basically, any drug that cannot be determined to have some sort of medicinal value will not be decriminalized. If meth has no medicinal value, we're not decriminalizing meth. If something called Gator, which is some kind of, so many terrible drugs I've heard about and know about. These type of things, no. We don't need to decriminalize these. But anything that has a natural medicinal value that can be used to improve human life, that's something that we want to get off Schedule 1, so then colleges and labs can study it, build from it, increase, and give us better stuff in America through that. And I really think that's going to heal a lot of the pain in America, get a lot of people out of jail, and give us a better chance to move forward as a mature place, understanding that, drug addiction is a sickness. It's not something that just people do to be mean or be dangerous, and we have to address it as a sickness. and take care of it and take the market out of the criminals' hands. Get rid of the violence, get rid of the pain, and get it back into a situation we have control of as the government, and probably even make some money off of. I've seen with the recent marijuana stuff with the medical and the legalization, they're bringing up billions of tax dollars into states. So we can do that same thing with other drugs also that people are using, they will use, and there's no reason to lock them up, die, and have them fighting and killing over it. Let's get them healthy, let's get them better. So that's one of the things. We want to decriminalize drugs that have medicinal value. Next up on the list for me is border control. Now, border control, it's not much to do. We want to keep it pretty much the same. Keep the money in so the agents have the money they need. Two things that I want to focus on with border control. One of those is we need to revamp ICE. I've seen a lot of bad stories about ICE, a lot of questionable things. They're reaching almost an FBI kind of level where they're doing things that are hurting people. And I think we need to reevaluate that and make sure they don't have a little more power than they need. On the same hand, with the border control, my perspective, this wall thing's absurd. We don't need a wall. What we need is drones. What we need is technology. What we need is a digital wall. If people are crossing illegally, there's no reason a drone can't pick it up, sensor them, mark them, and we go pick them up. It's really simple. Drones have heat sensors. These people can't cover their heat. We keep them out there. These drones can fly around all day. They can alert the agents to where they are. They can go pick the people up. Very simple, very easy. A technological wall, not a physical wall. This is not Germany. Mr. Gorbachev, take down that wall. No, we're not going to be doing that. Not today.